Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're putting a magnifying glass on something literally all of us have experienced, but honestly, we rarely take the time to deconstruct. We're talking about the true concept and objectives of teaching. It's this incredibly vital craft that surrounds us every single day, and yet it's often profoundly misunderstood. So we're going to break down the actual mechanics of how knowledge transfers, and I promise you, by the end of this, you'll walk away looking at the classroom and really any learning environment in a completely different light. So take a second and really think about it. What is teaching exactly? I mean, is it just standing up at the front of a room and talking at a bunch of people? Is it merely barking out basic instructions on how to complete some routine task? We so often conflate teaching with just passing on facts or handing out directions. But the reality of the process is far more intricate, demanding, and honestly, fascinating. All right, let's jump right into section 1, more than just instruction. Okay, let's dive into this. We really need to elevate how we view teaching. The source material fundamentally defines it as a deliberate professional activity. Note that wording. It is emphatically not just instruction. Look, anybody can instruct you to push a button, fill out a quick form, or turn left at a stop sign, right? But a professional activity? That implies real intent, deep strategy, and serious expertise. It is incredibly purposeful. The person facilitating the learning is actively architecting an experience for the student, not just blindly reading off a manual. Moving right along to section 2, teaching versus training versus conditioning. Now, what's really interesting about this comparison is that sometimes the absolute best way to grasp a complex concept is by using the rule of exclusion. To figure out exactly what teaching is, we have to understand exactly what it is not, because these three distinct ideas get mixed up all the time. Conditioning is all about forming automated reflexive habits. Think Pavlov's dogs, or learning to just automatically slam the brakes when you see a red light. Training is a bit broader. It's about developing a specific, narrow skill set for a specific task, like learning how to navigate a new software program. But teaching? Teaching sits entirely above all of that. It encompasses broader cognitive development, critical thinking, and actually understanding the deeper why behind the what. It isn't just about repetitive behaviors. It's about holistic intellectual growth. And that brings us to section 3, the 3 primary objectives. So, if teaching is this high-level, deliberate professional activity, what exactly is it trying to achieve? Let's shift our focus over to the core goals of this craft. The very first foundational objective is knowledge transmission. This is the absolute bedrock. It's about effectively passing on information, theories, and concepts to stimulate the mind. It is the cognitive baseline that gives the learner the raw, necessary material they need to actually understand the world around them. Simply put, without this first step, the rest of the process has absolutely nothing to stand on. But, as you probably guessed, knowledge alone, living in a vacuum, just isn't enough. That's where our second objective comes in, skill development. Teaching demands the cultivation of practical, hands-on abilities. It's all about taking that theoretical knowledge out of the mind and applying it directly to real-world scenarios. It is that crucial leap of turning the knowing into the doing. So, the crucial point is, true teaching goes way beyond just the head and the hands. It ultimately reaches the heart. And that brings us to the culmination of our rule of 3, attitude formation. It fundamentally shapes values, perspectives, and attitudes. A truly successful teacher heavily influences how a learner approaches problems, how they interact with the people around them, and how they view their own potential in the world. Let's pull this all together in section 4, the tripolar process. And this brilliantly illustrates the master model that ties the whole shebang together into one functioning system. According to the source, teaching is fundamentally a tripolar process. You've got the teacher at pole 1, the learner at pole 2, and the content, meaning the curriculum or the subject matter, at pole 3. It is a continuous, multidirectional flow of energy, communication, and information between these 3 specific nodes. They are entirely, 100% interdependent. So, why does this matter? Well, think of it like a 3-legged stool. If you remove even one single pole from this equation, the entire system completely collapses. Think about it. A teacher and a learner without any content, that's just a friendly conversation. A teacher and content without a learner, that's just a rehearsal in an empty room. And a learner and content without a teacher, that's independent study. Sure, it might be learning, but it is not the deliberate professional activity of teaching. The active synergy of all three poles is absolutely mandatory for the process to even exist. Which brings us to one final, really provocative thought to chew on. If the learner isn't engaged, like if that second pole is physically sitting in the room but mentally totally checked out, did teaching actually happen? According to this tripolar model, if the connection between the poles is broken, the process fails. Even if the teacher delivered the content flawlessly, without the learner's active reception, true teaching just didn't occur. It is a fascinating perspective, right? It really challenges us to rethink how we measure success in any educational environment. I hope this framework helps you see the profound complexity and deliberate craft behind teaching. Keep questioning, keep learning, and thanks so much for joining me.